What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday evening. It is Non here, and it's that time for this week's review in distribution for Pokemon Magic the Gathering and a couple other indie games. Not a whole lot going on. The pre release for Pokemon, I believe, starts on the 13th, and it's the 12th, I think, for Spider Man, which is that Friday. So it's going to get a little crazy here relatively quickly, but not quite yet. So let's go through the games here. So Flesh and Blood, we'll just talk about this one quickly. We did get our second allocation for SummerSlam or Super Slam. SummerSlam reminds me of the Ultimate Warrior. Uh, Never mind, I'm old. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible, and as I've mentioned before, I think Fab was pretty much DOA in a lot of LGSs because everybody got burned so much by Monarch and Toa and then 2.0, and now it's getting back to the free money portion. So a lot of stores are ordering product. It seems like the supply of the product is relatively stagnant, so everybody's getting squeezed. The big single sellers are getting squeezed. We got 10 boxes across the two distributors who carry it, which are Southern Hobby and PhD, which doesn't move the needle one way or another. But I do know some of the large single sellers who used to get 800 boxes are getting like 60. So it's a weird spot, and it almost feels like it's spread a little bit too thin to the point where there's just going to be too many people looking for a quick flip and free tendies, and it's going to end badly. We'll see. Hope not, but I don't like the makeup of the market right now. Godzilla card game. Just want to touch on this one briefly. There hasn't been a whole lot of marketing here in the U.S. It's apparently reasonably big in Japan. The second set comes out the 25th of October. The first set booster boxes are still sitting at $70. I don't know what's going to go on there. We did order a couple hundred boxes of the second set because we sold through them for the first set. People like the cards. They like the game. If they like Godzilla, if they don't like Godzilla, they're like, what is this garbage? I don't know what's going to happen there. So we'll see. Speaking of, I cracked up. Somebody in last week's comment section said, "Please don't buy Bo Jackson Battle Arena," which is kind of funny. The only reason I bring it up is because the auto cards in here are really, really cool. And if you're looking for something to spec on, and that is not the purpose of this video and this weekly series, you always have the signed autos in there from professional athletes, which will create a floor in the product, so they will not go to zero. And I will chuckle, say everything. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving to Gundam. So we have the second set coming out in exactly 2 months. The first set, we did start to get the second wave. Our distributor didn't, I don't believe they shipped it out last week. It's probably shipping out tomorrow or Tuesday. But I do know everybody except for our distributor, one distributor, has sent everything out for the second wave, which is why you guys are seeing that the market is starting to soften up a little bit with some new supply coming in. By soften up, I'm talking 190, 185 for booster boxes for something where I believe distro price was like 65. And it does look like there was a buyout on TCG Player of booster box cases this weekend. Now, what's interesting is Bandai came out on their Japanese, I think I mentioned this last week or the week before, the Japanese Twitter page, and said that they realize that there's a shortage of supply, and they're going to work toward trying to alleviate that. They did not mention that on the English supply or the English Twitter page. So the question is, I don't think the question is, are they going to reprint GD1, SD1? I don't even know what it is. The first set or not. It's even worse. It's BP1, whatever. I think they're going to reprint it at some point. The question is when is it going to happen? And I kind of, in the back of my head, I look at what happened with One Piece, and the sets that came out, everything ran up early on, and then they reprinted all the early sets. And the general consensus in the market was Bandai's going to destroy this game, meaning One Piece, like they've done a bunch of games in the past, and that didn't happen. The market recovered, so I'm fully anticipating a light to a moderate reprint of all these early sets at some point in time. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, this month, next month, the middle of 2026. I have no idea. But it does seem like the game has some traction. I know for the longest time, the EV in these boxes was north of $300-400. It's come down as there's been new product coming to market. So that's interesting. Speaking of One Piece, it seems like the sell-through is really starting to slow down with One Piece. We don't do a whole lot with it, but I know a lot of the online sellers that I speak to have mentioned that there's been a relatively sizable slowdown in single sales and a lot of the playable cards. It's a little bit of a race to zero, because I think it's a lot more stores cracking packs for the big hits, and then they're dumping as much as they can on the market. But the sealed product is moving. I saw today OP8 booster boxes are like $115 to $120, and those were hot garbage for a long time. So super interesting. I know somebody mentioned, hey, talk about One Piece. That's One Piece. We have OP12, seems like it's doing reasonably well. OP13, which I think everybody's a little bit more excited for, coming out in September, October. And then 14 is the January set, because that was the first set where we were able to, really start to push some scale and some organized play. So that's it for One Piece. Let's scroll back up here and see Lorcana. So I kind of made a tongue-in-cheek comment last week about I'm not going to talk about Lorcana. I'm not a big fan because Ravensburger prints too much. But I will mention with this Fabled set that came out, it was a little bit of a bait and switch where they came out, they had some cool cards that they spoiled. People placed their normal orders, and then Ravensburger came out and said it was going to be a reprint set, and they took a machete to the print run. So the print run came out, and it's extremely, extremely low. And then they really pushed product through the organized play stores, which my understanding is they've always done it. It's just been to a little bit of a greater extent. So we didn't get any. We are in an organized play store with our distribution partner for this. But quite honestly, we didn't care. And the reason I say that is, you look at the last couple sets, the price from distro is $90. The price on the open market is $100. So you're kind of screwed, because even if you buy the boxes and, say you pay $360 for the case, right? I think there's 4 boxes in the case, and you try to sell them in store and make a little bit of money off the packs. People are just going to look at the price online and say, well, I could buy it for a loss to you, but it's cheaper for me online. So the problem with Lorcana is there's no money in the game. There's absolutely no money. It's upside down. It actually reminds me a little bit of magic of Pokemon in late 2023 and the first quarter of 2024, where there was product and then the print runs got tightened up a little bit, but nobody cared and nobody wanted it, and you end up paying, even if you're paying $87 and $90 at distribution, TCG player was getting dumped at $85 after fees, and it was just a bloodbath. So yeah, they do have the Disney IP, so I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's just, in my mind, it's a comedy of errors, and it's not worth the headache to pay attention to, because there's no profit, there's no reason to carry the game, in my opinion. So is what it is. Riftbound, I want to talk about this one because this is super interesting. So I've mentioned that the distributors are starting to get allocation numbers. I have heard that the allocation numbers, let me rephrase my statement, they've started to get concrete purchase orders from for the first set, Origins. Now, what I've heard is it is on par with approximately what the distributors have gotten for Gundam. And for those of you who don't know, the 4 majors all carried Gundam. So Alliance, PhD, GTS, and Southern. Perhaps majors is the wrong term because everybody has their own expertise and their own unique pluses and minuses. But those are kind of the four bigger ones from at least my perspective. So if what they've gotten with Riftbound is sub 25,000 booster boxes, and again, this is just a ballpark guess, an educated guess, but a guess, and there's only 125, 150,000 English booster boxes in the US. In my mind, Riftbound probably has some larger orders than, for example, what Gundam had. Now, Riftbound did expand outside of the four majors. I know a handful of smaller distributors carry it, which is super interesting. A little bit less red tape, a little bit less competition there. But I know as of right now, everybody's waiting for the organized play sheet to come out from UVS Games to see how they want to allocate, see who they're allocating to. Obviously, signing up for organized play is going to give you a leg up, or so we're told, on getting allocation. But last I checked, these booster boxes are pre-selling on TCG Player for like $298. So we'll see what happens. But I would anticipate in the next 2 weeks or so to really start to firm up how much product is out there, how much product we're getting. But again, if there's only 125 to 150,000 boxes out there, or something similar to Gundam, again, in my estimation, my educated guess estimation, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And again, I think the demand here is going to be exponentially higher than Gundam. So I think kind of the sky's the limit, quite honestly. So that being said, Weiss, I know Rudy mentioned something about this is the first time that Bushi has allocated a product with Azure Lane Volume 2. What I will tell you is I spoke to 3 different distributors and just trying to understand what the level of magnitude was. And I think I mentioned part of this last week. The degree of magnitude of the orders between Nikki, all in the first and the second wave, Freerin, I think it's Freerin. I don't know. I watched the first 2 episodes and then I got bored and didn't do anything else. I can't watch anime at this point in my life. It kills too much time. And Azure Lane Volume 2. And what I've heard is that the orders for Azure Lane Volume 2 are 2 to 2.5 times what they were for Nikki. Quite honestly, just based on the performance of Azure Lane Volume 1, which wasn't called Volume 1, it was just called Azure Lane, I believe. So it's interesting to see Bushi allocate the numbers and cut them down. My guess is this is probably unprecedented demand to the point where they can't print to demand. So it's going to be a cool set. It's going to be a better, but there's going to be a lot of it out there. Just something to keep in mind. We'll see what happens. But we saw with Nikki, there was a ton of product that dumped on the market and it's sitting on TCG Player. And I realize that Weiss people don't really buy from TCG Player for the most part. They buy from their own little Weiss stores. But just throwing that information out there. So Sorcery Contested Realm, they're supposed to have an October set, which is their 2025 set, I guess we'll call it. Nobody's heard anything. So it's anybody's guess if this set even comes out, if it ever comes out, or what these guys are doing with it. So let's move on to what was I going to talk about? Let's do Magic first. So Magic's in a weird spot right now. So Spider-Man was very heavily allocated. We've seen a ton of product pushing through distro. We just started to get the collector bundles or the gift bundle allocations that come out in October. They look like they're fairly on par with Final Fantasy. In fact, everything was on par with Final Fantasy except for play boxes, and then one distributor that cut way back on collector boosters. I think there's something else going on internally there, but hey, look, it's their business. They're for profit as well. So, I fully support as long as I get enough product to run events. It's all good. But with Avatar, it's different. So Avatar sent a note out a couple weeks ago, basically saying, look, we know the set's a long way out, but we are going to provide an allocation This was by August 12th, and I missed this one last week. By August 12th, I believe, we're going to give you a not to be less than. So normally you have a not to exceed. This is that you are going to get at the bare minimum this much product. And the allocation numbers were a slight bit, call it 10 to 15%, maybe a little bit more, above the numbers that we got for Spider-Man. Now, the Jumpstart and the beginner box, obviously those are new SKUs. We got 70% of what we asked for there. Not, I mean, I can't say this good or bad because we don't know what's in the product right now. I would imagine the Jumpstart's probably going to be pretty good. The beginner box, it can't be terrible because quite honestly, they just wouldn't get anybody to use it. And I think at this point, they're starting to realize that they have to put something in each one of these items to make them sell. So that's that. I will mention... So Duskborn, Bloomburrow, looks like they have landed in most of the distributors for the Commander deck reprint. Ixalan looks like this week or next week for the Commander deck reprint, and it does look like the final shipment of Final Fantasy, because it shipped to the distributors in a couple different shipments, and it was astronomically large, has landed. So for now, that is all the Commander displays that are coming up in the future. I think, as always, they're going to hit the market. It's going to be a race to zero for a couple weeks. Everything's going to work through the market. And then everything's going to recover, and we're going to get back to normalization. What's going to be interesting are the Lord of the Rings, the Doctor Who, and the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander displays. Is this going to be the last time they're reprinted? Ixalan's being reprinted. Lord of the Rings is supposed to be reprinted later this year. Doctor Who I've heard nothing about, although they're pretty much out everywhere. But those are middle to end of 2023 sets. So as we get to the end of 2025, that is the 2-year anniversary. I know they've talked about 3-year with Standard. These are Commander. I have no idea what that means. It's confusing as shit. If anybody has further clarity, please let me know. But at some point, they're going to stop printing this stuff, and it's going to start to age a little bit better than what it has been. So that being said, let's go to Pokemon. This is where it gets really, really interesting. So Mega Evolutions, we have the calendars out. We have the Team Rocket tins out. Mega Evolutions, so we have Wave 1, Wave 2, and it is split 60% Wave 1 and 40% Wave 2. It is like that across every single distributor, so that looks like it is a hard and fast rule. I'm assuming it's coming from Pokemon themselves. For the non-enhanced, that was printed specifically for the pre-release kit in the same way it was for Journey Together. However, there is some safety stock that is going to some of the larger distributors. It is not going to some of the smaller distributors. I've confirmed that. And it is becoming an add-on to Wave 1. So, for example, on Friday, we have, I'm just going to throw out some random numbers here that are directionally correct. We got 260 booster boxes from one distributor coming in Wave 1. We got a separate allocation above and beyond that for 24 booster boxes, specifically for non-enhanced on Friday. So they're coming in to help augment this shortage of product just based on the second wave. So just wanted to clear that up. If you guys haven't seen that yet from your distributor, I would call your rep and say, hey, am I getting non-enhanced? If so, how much is it? Because a lot of times it doesn't hit the same region or the same reps all at the same time. And then it really comes down to how quickly are the reps updating the purchase orders, your orders, invoices, and all that happy stuff. So that being said, we did see for Destined Rivals, we saw a lot of build and battle displays come out last week. I think we got like 12 at random across all of distribution, which was not something I expected. Seems like they're making a concerted effort to get Destined out there. I would imagine we're going to see something reprint-wise with Destined coming out with ME01, but TBD. Now, we are seeing reprints of Twilight Masquerade Elite Trainer boxes and Surging Sparks Elite Trainer boxes. The Twilight Masquerade ETBs have landed. across all of distribution. I have heard from everybody except for two with how they're going to do it, and it ranges anywhere from a middle of the road price to a lower price. I have not gotten the obligatory bundle offers across multiple distributors yet, so we'll see. The Surging Sparks shipments look to be 2 weeks away, so I'm guessing the first week of September those will come out. And it doesn't look like it's astronomical. It looks like it's a reasonable size. We've gotten, again, probably 12 to 15 cases across everybody at this point. Again, haven't heard from two, but that's about three cases of ETBs per distributor. So it's great to have. It's a reasonable, fair price, and it's two sets that are in demand. So it's interesting. Now, what's going to be interesting is if these in fact are, and I have not seen a case yet, so I'm assuming they're reprints. If they are not reprints and it is the not for retail sale before blah, 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 blah on the label, and they're pulled from somewhere else in the world, either stock that they've had that they didn't release, or somewhere in Europe, Southeast Asia, another English-speaking country, because remember, for Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade, all ETBs worldwide were printed in North Carolina, in the U.S. They all say made in the USA. It's going to be interesting to see if it's a reprint. If it is a reprint, then it's a little bit of a change. It's a sea change to the point where they haven't reprinted ETBs since Silver Tempest, maybe SV01, SV Base in early 2024. So it's been over a year and a half. So if they are in fact reprinting ETBs, first of all, what the hell are they doing between ETBs and all these EX boxes? Like, are they literally trying to choke out the market by printing the most inefficient way ever? But does that open the door for them to continue to reprint Pokemon Center ETBs? There's no reason why there's a reprint is completely off the table. Now, we haven't seen it ever in over 2.5 years, but it doesn't mean it could happen. Or are they just going to start dumping ETBs of all of the older sets in lieu of booster boxes, which would be interesting. Now, I will say, as we transition to the next couple items here, they're not even showing them here because they allocated them this weekend. The Mega Latias EX box and the Salamence and Reshiram what is it, Premium EX Collection or something. There's so many goddamn adjectives in these names, I can't keep them all straight. So the Latias box looks cool. It's like 5 packs. It's actually a lot like the Armorogue one that came out last year at this time. It's 5 packs. I think it's 2 destined, like 2 mega, and maybe it's 3 mega. I don't know. But what's interesting is the Salamence and Reshiram, it is a 10-pack set, and it is a 5x5, which is something I've coined since the Massive Ogerpon, which is 5 Twilight, 5 Temporal. The Salamence and Reshiram is going to be 5 Surging and 5 Destined. Now, there's a good amount of this out there. We've gotten a healthy chunk of it. They're all cool because they do have unique stamp promos. I don't think it's original art. But what's interesting is they've now come out with, I think, 5 of these. Plus, we've seen the ETBs. Plus, we've seen the booster bundles. And aside from some reprints this year for 151 and Paldean Fates, we have not seen any reprint for SV Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, or Paradox Rift. We haven't even seen packs out there. Now, we do know with this Team Rocket's Moltres Ultra Premium Collection in the picture, and it's blurry, it was hard to tell. It does look like there are 2 packs of every set in the Scarlet and Violet. The base set, there's no 151, Paldean Fates, Prismatic, or Shroud of Fable. It's just SV 1 through 10, and it does appear, again, this is kind of hard. I was ballparking this, that there's only 1 SV base and 1 Paldea Evolve, so SV 1 and SV 2. So that could very easily be them pushing out the packs that they just have stockpiled If you guys remember, we had the Kanto mini tins come out about 3 months ago. It was a 2018 vintage tin. Some of them had Silver Tempest and Astral Radiance packs. Some of them had Lost Origin and is it Origin or Origins with an S? I don't know. I don't remember. I'll look at my box at some point. And Chilling Rain. So we know that they have packs printed that are just stockpiled that at some point they have to use, and that's kind of what it looks like here. And quite honestly, this is the first product where I've seen actively them pulling any packs from SV 1, 2, 3, or 4. So this is probably the end. I mean, they could reprint ETBs. I think it's just worth keeping an eye on if they are in fact reprinting these ETBs, and I'll have cases this week, so I'll be able to report on it at some point. It's worth paying attention to because it is a slight change in behavior from the Pokemon Company. So moving on to the last couple items here, we have the Trainer Toolkit and the Mega Battle Decks, Mega Gengar, and Diancie. I don't even know how you say that. So the toolkits are cool, I guess. The calendars are cool, I guess. The price of those is it's okay for pack price. They've been allocated for most distributors. It's an okay amount. It's spend where you're not underwater, but it's also spend where you're not going to have a bunch of stuff that you can't move or you have to break down. The Mega Gengar Diancie decks. Looks like most distributors got less than 10,000 of these. Just educated guess. So there's not a whole lot of these out there. And these are the same as the Steven and Marnie decks. The Marnie's more Pecco. The raw promo is like $26, which is, I mean, I think the MSRP on these is like $15. So these are super interesting because you do have the unique promo in here. And then we have the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX Battle Deck. I assume this is the same thing. But I can't keep up with it. And then we have the Mega Lucario figure collection. We've seen pictures of this one everywhere. This is what it looks like. So you have Mega, Destined. Looks like 2 Mega, 2 Destined, and this looks like a Journey Together. So it looks like it's 5 packs, I believe. Yeah, 5 packs right here. So yeah, 2 Mega, 2 Destined, 1 Journey. And then you have, I think this is an actual alt art promo. So this is different than what we've seen with the stamp promos and the 10-pack, the 5x5s. So this is going to be cool. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of these coming out. And again, I think the interesting thing is, and this could just be a factor of our spend as a store, but I'm hearing this across the board. With these EX boxes, and, you know, you have the Hopzation early on, you have the Cynthia Garchomp, the hell is it? The Belly Bolt one, and then you have the Mewtwo, the Team Rocket Mewtwo. It seems like they've become easier and easier to get through distribution. And then all of a sudden we see the Latias and the Salamence and Reshiram, and there's cases upon cases, and the numbers I'm hearing are fairly large, like not close. Let's see, like 20 to 40,000 of some of the boxes going to distribution, which is a really, really good number. It's a really, really healthy number. It's going to get some packs out there. It's going to help push down the price of packs. But more importantly, Destined Rivals can't be had for a reasonable price at this point. So that's really, really interesting. So it seems like they continue to really hammer these EX boxes as a way to get product into the market. And the fact that they're doing the 5x5s, it's almost like it's 5/6 of a booster bundle, but you can hit 2 sets at the same time. So it almost seems like they've pivoted to sending product out in a I don't want to say a little bit more intelligent manner, because that has a little bit of negative connotation, but they're focused on trying to hit 2 sets at the same time, as opposed to just dump booster bundles upon booster bundles, which we haven't seen a whole lot of booster bundles outside of the set. I mean, we've got a couple cases of Journey Together, a couple of cases of Destined Rivals in the last couple weeks, but that's it. So that's where we're at right now. It's going to be super interesting to see if we get any other reprints. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. We are going to run our sale next weekend for Elite members for Mega Evolution. Hopefully, I have all of my allocations by then. That would be really, really great. And if not, we'll just we'll figure it out as we go along. So, all right, guys, have a great night.